out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
Oh, this is a doozy. So this is James Gunn on the DCEU. The history has been shit. It's been a real fucked up journey for DC. I think there was basically no one minding the mint, and they were giving out IP to any creatives that, smiled at whoever was in charge. Preach, Gunn, fucking preach. There was never any real power given to people in charge, so somebody could always go over their head and do whatever they wanted. And we had the DCEU, which then became the Joss Whedon Justice League, but also became the Snyderverse, which became this, a fucking mess. And we have Wonder Woman, and we have Wonder Woman 1984, which doesn't even match what happened in Wonder Woman 1. And then we have the Arrowverse, and even us coming in with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and then all of a sudden, Batmite is a real guy. Yeah, that pretty much sums up all the wacky Lindsay Lohan, coke, crackhead shit that was going on with DCEU and Warner Brothers and Kevin Tsuchihara and Toby Emmerich and all the nonsense. I forgot that crazy old bitch, that fucking, what was her name? I called her Granny Goodness and Cernoff. When the whole Snyder Cut popped off, it was just downhill after downhill after downhill, and somebody had to come in and rearrange the mess that was going on with Warner Brothers. And thankfully, that happens to be David Zaslav, James Gunn, and Peter Safran, who now actually have a plan and make things cohesive and try to build this DC brand back up. Because as much as I love Zack Snyder, and I'm a huge fan of what Zack Snyder did with Man of Steel, his take did not resonate with the general audience. Yes, it did, Truth. No, it did not. Because if it did, all of these movies would make $1 billion and Zack Snyder would have been able to continue with the Justice League Part 2 and Part 3. But it didn't continue. Why? Because the low box office, the critical reception was abysmal, and the general audience reception was just, for lack of a better word, in the shitter. Nobody liked it. We don't like this. So they had to change it up. And I'm sorry, that's a bitter pill to swallow, but you got to swallow it good.
You want this smoke? Okay, you about to get it. It's about to be a barbecue. Because it's going to be smoke up in here.
And here's the thing that these hardcore Snyder gravy swallowers cannot comprehend. Because they telling me, oh, Truth, you turned your back on Zack Snyder, huh? What happened, huh? You were the one leading the charge for the Snyderverse, and then you turned your back on Zack Snyder. Listen, you simple jack, ball-swallowing fucking primates. I am a big, humongous, Zack Snyder fan. I love Zack Snyder. I love Zack Snyder's filmography. I love Dawn of the Dead. I love his Watchmen. I think Man of Steel is an absolute masterpiece. My favorite Superman movie of all time and the best movie within the DCEU. But you have to understand, and I know you would never understand because most of you have a low IQ individuals. And when I say low IQ individuals, and when I say most of you, I mean the hardcore Snyder cultists that can't let go because they have to just hold on to it because they have nothing else to engage with their sorry sack of shit lives. Listen to me. It's not going to happen. Warner Brothers, James Gunn is not going to give Zack Snyder a $200 million budget to finish off his trilogy when most of the country did not like Zack Snyder's take. Doesn't make sense, will never make sense, and it will never happen. So therefore, James Gunn has to come in, step in, and reintroduce Superman once again and be like, listen, this is not Man of Steel. This is not going to be as heavy as Man of Steel. This is not going to be as serious as Man of Steel. This is going to be a light-hearted adventure, fun for the whole family, for us to get Superman back on track. And then we can delve deeper into the darker material like a Swamp Thing, like The Authority, like even Batman Brave and the Bold, and stuff like that. We have to ease people into it and make them recognize, like, oh, listen, the fucking DC brand is not a laughingstock anymore. We can actually compete with Marvel, and we can give out quality movies like Marvel has done in the past. That's what James Gunn is going to do with the DC brand. You don't have to like it, so don't fucking watch it, and don't complain on Twitter like whiny little bitches. Like, I can't believe this. I don't want this. I want Zack Snyder. I want Zack Snyder. Well, guess what? If you want Zack Snyder, go support Rebel Moon, you fucking dumb fucks. It's going to be on Netflix. Hopefully it's going to be awesome. And then you can support Rebel Moon and Zack Snyder. And you can post a long JR Tolkien thread about how much Rebel Moon is much better than James Gunn's DCU, because we all know you're going to watch it anyway, and you're all going to complain about it like whiny little bitches, and then you got people like me, God-tier people like me, making fun of your dumbasses for crying about how The Flash is better than Man of Steel, which I hope it is, or at least I hope it's on par with Man of Steel. So I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I'm not only a Zack Snyder DC fan. I'm a Zack Snyder fan overall, not just his DC work, but most of his filmography. And Warner Brothers has to understand, what now they do, but in the past, you have to look at directors and their vision, right? Like, for example, David Fincher. David Fincher is one of my favorite directors of all time. He did Seven, Fight Club, Zodiac, mostly dark, heavy psychological thrillers, right? You're not going to hire David Fincher to direct The Incredibles for Pixar, because David Fincher is a much different director and his work is very violent and very dark. And at the time, Warner Brothers didn't understand that, because when you looked at Zack Snyder's filmography from Watchmen, 300, Dawn of the Dead, Sucker Punch, he deals with dark material. And his dark material is not really going to necessarily match up with the bright, hopeful, optimistic version of Superman. But again, I liked his take. I understood what he was going for, but the general audience does not like a dark, heavy, mature Superman film. They don't like that. They look at Superman a certain way, and Superman has been portrayed a certain way for 80 plus years. And as soon as you tinker with it or tweak it or fuck with it a little bit, people are gonna have just this natural reaction, like this natural, angry reaction, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? We don't like this. We want Superman a certain way. So at the time, Zack Snyder was not the right fit for the DCEU. Again, that's not me hating on Zack Snyder. That's me giving an objective, honest opinion. But hey, it worked out, because now we're getting the DCU for the future, and Zack Snyder is happy with Rebel Moon. All right? You dumb fuck. As always, hit like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Cheeks, and James Gunn was 1,000% on his assessment on the DCU. It failed. It sucked. Now we can do better. Mwah. Big kiss.
Nigga, you can't stand it.